Good afternoon. Welcome to the press conference. Now I'd like to take your questions. At the invitation of China, General Secretary of the Lao People's Revolutionary Party Central Committee and Lao President Xi Jinping recently attended the SCO Plus meeting and the events commemorating the 80th anniversary. He also paid a working visit to China and met with General Secretary and President Xi Jinping and other leaders. Can we share the latest outcomes of China-Laos practical cooperation? Recently, at the invitation of China, General Secretary of the Lao People's Revolutionary Party Central Committee and the Lao President Xi Jinping attended the SCO Plus meeting and the events commemorating the 80th anniversary of the victory of the Chinese People's War of Resistance against the Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War, and paid a working visit to China. This morning, the leaders of the two sides met and reached important common understandings. China has released readouts which you may refer to. China and Laos are socialist friends and neighbors. Laos is among the first to jointly build a community with a shared future bilaterally with China. Since the latest 5-year plan of action for building a China-Laos community with a shared future was signed, fruitful outcomes have been achieved in China-Laos cooperation in various fields. Recently, the two sides have signed multiple cooperation documents, including the Intergovernmental Agreement on Juxtaposed Border Control Arrangements for China-Laos Railway, supported the building of state-level large-scale model in Laos, and achieved important cooperation outcomes in areas of AI, satellite navigation, healthcare, education, poverty alleviation, and inspection and quarantine. The two sides are building a high-standard, high-quality, and high-level China-Laos community with a shared future. Under the new circumstances, China is ready to work with Laos to follow the important common understandings between the top leaders of the two parties and two countries, strengthen strategic communication, deepen practical cooperation, advance the steady and sustained development of China-Laos community with a shared future, benefit the people of both countries, and make positive contribution to peace, stability, and prosperity of the region and the wider world. Next one, please.
中华卫视。
谢谢发言人。中华卫视记者提问：93阅兵成功举行了向世界展。
China Arab TV. The military parade has demonstrated to the world China's determination to uphold post-war international order and peace. Under the current international landscape, how will China work with the rest of the world to prevent that tragic history from repeating itself and uphold the heart-won peace?
9月3日。
Yesterday marks the 80th anniversary of the victory of the Chinese People's War of Resistance against the Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War, and it is also a major day celebrated by the Chinese people and all peace-loving countries and people across the world. President Xi Jinping, in his important address at the grand commemoration, noted that today we gather here to remember history, honor fallen heroes, cherish peace, and create a better future. The Chinese People's War of Resistance against the Japanese aggression was an important part of the World Anti-Fascist War. With huge national sacrifice, the Chinese people made major contributions to saving human civilization and safeguarding world peace. The great victory will go down in the history of the Chinese nation and in the history of humanity's fight for justice and peace. The Chinese people won the great victory through their united efforts with the anti-fascist allied forces and the people around the world. The Chinese government and people will never forget the foreign governments and international friends who supported and assisted the Chinese people in resisting aggression. We invited 50 international friends or their families from 14 countries, including Russia, the US, the UK, France, and Canada, to attend the commemorative events. The Chinese People's Association for Friendship with Foreign Countries awarded 55 international friends with a commemorative medal of the 80th anniversary of the victory of the Chinese People's War of Resistance against the Japanese aggression. History cautions us that humanity rises and falls together. Only when all countries and nations treat each other as equals, coexist in peace and support each other, can we uphold common security, eradicate the root cause of war, and prevents the reoccurrence of historical tragedies. Today, humanity again has to choose between peace and war, dialogue and confrontation, win-win cooperation and zero-sum game. The commemoration again shows that China will firmly stand on the right side of history and the progress of human civilization, and that we are committed to the path of peaceful development. We sincerely hope that all countries will draw wisdom from history, value peace, and jointly create a better future for humanity. Next one, please.
谢谢发言人。今日俄罗斯提问，我们俄罗斯总。
Ria Novosti. Russian President Putin ended his visit to China yesterday. This is second visit by President Putin, and this visit lasted for 4 days. What's China's comment on President Putin's visit?
From August 31st to September the 3rd, President Putin attended the SCO Tianjin Summit and the commemoration events marking the 80th anniversary of the victory of the Chinese People's War of Resistance against the Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War in China. President Xi Jinping met with President Putin, had talks over tea, and held a banquet for him. President Xi Jinping, President Putin, and also the presidents of Mongolia also held the 7th meeting of the heads of states of the 3 countries. China has released readouts about these events, which you may refer to. Under the support of leaders of all countries, including President Putin, the SCO Tianjin Summit made a great success. Over a span of 10 years, President Xi Jinping and President Putin again attended the events marking the victory of the World Anti-Fascist War in each other's country. This demonstrates our sense of responsibility as the major victorious nations of the World War II and permanent member of the UN Security Council. It also demonstrates our strong resolve to uphold the victorious outcome of the Second World War and defend a right perception of history of the war. China would like to follow the common understandings between the 2 presidents in their meetings, carry out cooperation in various areas, and tap the potential of the bilateral relations. We would like to take a more active role in international and regional affairs, safeguard global strategic stability and international justice and affairs, and jointly build a just and equitable global governance system. Next one, please.
Alan Wan from Bloomberg News.
彭博社，特朗普总统谴责中俄朝领导人共谋对付美国，中方对此有何评论？
China invited foreign guests to attend the commemorative events to mark the 80th anniversary of the victory of the Chinese People's War of Resistance against the Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War, and together with peace-loving countries and people to remember history, we aim to honor the fallen heroes, cherish peace, and create a better future. China never targets any third party in developing diplomatic ties with other countries. Next one, please.
谢谢发言人。环球时报、环球网记者提问：9月3日。
Global Times on September 3rd. Kaja Kallas, the High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy of the European Commission, said that China stands with Russia, Iran and North Korea, and Russia's war in Ukraine is being sustained by Chinese support. The autocratic alliance isn't just anti-Western optics, but is also a direct challenge to the international system built on rules. What's your comment? The statements by relevant EU officials are full of ideological biases without basic historical facts, and blatantly stoke rivalry and confrontation. This is disrespect to the history of the World War II and is not in the interest of the EU. It's preposterous and very irresponsible. China firmly opposes and deplores that, and China has hosted the events commemorating the anniversary. 80 years ago, the Chinese people made great sacrifice and great contribution to save humanity's civilization and uphold world peace. At that time, some friends from Russia, the United States, and some European countries have provided valuable support and assistance to China's resistance against aggression. Only by remembering history can we uphold peace. China has hosted the events commemorating the 80th anniversary of the victory in order to remember history, honor the fallen heroes, cherish peace, and create a better future. We are aimed to uphold the post-World War international order and the victorious outcomes of the war with peace-loving countries in the world. 26 foreign heads of state and governments and dozens of high-level representatives and heads of international and regional organizations, as well as over 100 diplomatic envoys from 19 European countries attended the commemorative events covering 5 continents across the world. That shows the international community has wide recognition of the historical contribution of China's war of resistance and its world significance, as well as the common aspiration and determination to uphold world peace and stability. The international landscape is now pretty complex, and it is all the more important for us to have solidarity and cooperation. As the origin of the World War II, Europe needs to take a deeper look at history, take lessons from the history, strengthen solidarity. However, some EU leadership stick to Cold War mentality and severe ideological bias. They deliberately create division and confrontation. This is not in the interest of the EU and will further undermine its international reputation and influence. We hope these people will abandon their short-sighted prejudice, arrogance, foster a correct historical perspective of the Second World War, see China as it truly is. Correct is wrongful remarks at once, undo the negative impact, contribute more to world peace and stability and China-EU ties, instead of the other way around. Next one, please.
Good afternoon. 2 questions from Reuters.
路透社，外军是否参加了昨天的阅兵式？如果没有外军参加，到底是因为什么原因呢？昨晚特朗普称，中方应该强调美方在2战太平洋战场上的作用，中方对此有何评论？
与你提到的第一个问题，建议。
On your first question, I'd refer you to competent authorities. On your second question, on the morning of September the 3rd, China held a grand gathering celebrating the 80th anniversary of the victory of the Chinese People's War of Resistance against the Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War. President Xi Jinping, in his address, said that the Chinese people made a huge national sacrifice and made major contributions to saving human civilization and safeguarding world peace. At the same time, the Chinese governments and people also express our heartfelt thanks to foreign governments and international friends who supported and assisted the Chinese people in resisting aggression. Next one, please.
Thank you. A question from AFP.
法新社最近有报道，马里圣战组织袭击了中国人民以及中国公司。据分析人士报道，自7月底以来，至少有11名中国人在马里被绑架。中方对此有何评论？以及外交部是否掌握关于被绑架的中国公民数量？
中国政府高。
The Chinese government attaches great importance to protecting the safety of Chinese nationals overseas. About the cases in which Chinese nationals were kidnapped, the Foreign Ministry has directed our embassy in Mali to maintain close communication with governmental departments of Mali and urge them to make all-out efforts to search and rescue those peoples. And at the same time, we urge them to take effective and concrete measures to protect the safety and security of Chinese nationals, institutions, and programs in Mali. We once again remind our nationals to follow the security alerts issued by our embassy and take safe security precautions. Next one, please.
Indonesian leader Prabowo.
普拉博沃总统本来不会参加阅兵式，主要是因为印尼国内的情况。但是我们听说，普拉博沃总统已经抵达了中国，主要是因为中方对此强烈要求。中方对此有何评论？有何更多信息？
普拉博沃总统。
President Prabowo Subianto decided to travel to China to attend the events commemorating the 80th anniversary of the victory of the Chinese People's War of Resistance against the Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War. China welcomes this. The president arrived in Beijing in the early morning of yesterday and returned to Indonesia on the afternoon of yesterday after attending the commemoration. President Xi Jinping met with him, and China has released a readout about that, which you may refer to. Next one, please.
Thank you, AFP.
法新社昨天美方表示，大约有300吨的潜艇从中国运往了墨西哥的毒贩。中方是否了解这一运输，以及是否已经遭到了没收？中方对此有何评论？
我不了解你提到的具体。
I'm not familiar with the specifics you mentioned. Let me stress that in terms of counter-narcotics, China has the strongest determination, the most relentless policy, and one of the best records in the world. China has scheduled the largest number of substances and has the strictest drug control in the world. China's counter-narcotics authorities have fought illicit diversion of precursor chemicals in strict accordance with the law and ensured that our companies operate in accordance with laws and regulations. The drug abuse in the U.S., the root cause for the drug abuse in the U.S. lies in itself, and the key also lies in itself. The U.S. should face up to its problem, strengthen domestic regulation instead of diverting the blame to other countries, shifting blame and abusing sanctions. China will do what is necessary to safeguard the lawful rights and interests of our companies and nationals. Next one, please.
NHK. DPRK chairman visited China. Will President Xi Jinping have a meeting with him? There isn't news about that. Can the Foreign Ministry provide any information? When will they meet with each other?
应中共中央
At the invitation of General Secretary and President Xi Jinping, the General Secretary of the Korean Workers' Party and President of State Affairs of DPRK, Kim Jong Un, traveled to China to attend the commemorative events. The two leaders had in-depth exchanges of views on issues of common interests. Comrade Kim Jong Un came to China to attend the events, and this is of great significance to the relations of the two parties and the peoples. The two sides would like to deepen their exchanges of views on governance and advance our socialist cause and the traditional friendly cooperative relations between the two countries. Next one, please. Any more questions?
好，今天
That's the end of today's press conference. Thank you for coming.